going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Top 5 Rundown. Well, this week, being that we have The Mummy coming out with Tom Cruise, what better time to talk about our top 5 favorite Tom Cruise movies? But I'm not alone. With me today, the one and the only, Ryan O'Toole. Go ahead and talk about your channel, man.
What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole here, finally on Cody Leach's channel. As he said, we're counting down our top 5 favorite Tom Cruise movies leading up to The Mummy, which I'm super excited about because Tom Cruise is one of my favorite actors, and I'm sure he is too, Cody. Very excited to be doing this collab with you, man, in preparation for The Mummy.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, as he said, Tom Cruise is one of the best actors out there, so most people have top 10s, top 20s of Tom Cruise. So I'm assuming that you've got some honorable mentions, Ryan, if you want to go ahead and start with those.
Alright, I got 5 honorable mentions, Cody, because it's Tom Cruise. So, just a quick rundown of my honorable mentions. These are good movies, they just didn't make my top 5. First one is Minority Report. This is Steven Spielberg directing and Tom Cruise. I think Minority Report is a great movie, but there are 5 other movies I like more of. I really like the technologic aspects of this movie and Tom Cruise's performance, but it's a good movie. The next one I have is a really underrated movie, The Last Samurai, with Tom Cruise and Ken Watanabe and Edward Zwick's direction. I really like The Last Samurai. It's really underrated. And then I have Jerry Maguire, Show Me the Money! It's a classic.
I can't feel you, Ryan.
Yeah, and then I have another classic. It's A Few Good Men. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Yeah, A Few Good Men's a really good movie. And my last honorable mention is Risky Business. Take the records off the shelf. Yeah, Risky Business. They're all great movies. I just like 5 more.
All right, cool. Well, actually, 2 of those movies I'll be elaborating on in just a little while, but I have 4 honorable mentions. So my bottom honorable mention is Jack Reacher, which just came out. The first one, not the garbage sequel. The first one actually thought was a really cool movie. Jack Reacher, to me, the character at least, was kind of like a darker, more edgy Ethan Hunt. I like how he was like an investigator. I thought the action in the movie was really good. I like the mysterious kind of investigation aspect of it. And it's the one movie where Jai Courtney doesn't suck. So I like Jack Reacher a lot.
Yeah.
Interview with a Vampire. I like that movie a lot. I'm a big vampire nut. That one's a very gothic, mythological type of vampire movie. It's very like Victorian. That's kind of when Brad Pitt was at like the height of his pretty boy career. You have Kirsten Dunst. I think that was her first movie. So a lot of really big actors in that movie. I've always liked that one. Another one that you actually had on your honorable mentions, Jerry Maguire. Great movie. I don't care what anybody says about it. Some people, they put it into the category of like rom-coms. It's much more than a rom-com. So I've always loved Jerry Maguire. And my last honorable mention is a pretty recent movie that was, I would say it was underrated, but apparently everybody loves it enough to give it a sequel. That's Edge of Tomorrow. That was a movie that the trailers were terrible, the name was terrible, nothing about the movie interested me, and then it came out and everybody's like, that movie's actually pretty damn awesome. And then I went and saw it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what movie were they advertising? Because this is the shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like this time travel, sci-fi action masterpiece. I mean, the movie's awesome. And I love the fact that Tom Cruise plays not the typical Tom Cruise. He's like a giant pussy in that movie. So that's hilarious to me because he's not like the big badass he always is. So I love those movies as well. Well, awesome honorable mentions. So go ahead and kick us off, Ryan, with your number 5.
All right, my number 5 is a classic movie. I think this is Tom Cruise's best acted performance of all time, and that's Born on the 4th of July. This is a great movie. I love this movie. Oliver Stone's direction was incredible. Tom Cruise should have won that damn Oscar over Daniel Day-Lewis. He was incredible in this movie, and you said it earlier, he plays a completely different character in this movie. It's such a great war film, such a great true story of this Vietnam War veteran. It's sad, depressing, but very true. Born on the 4th of July, I would have ranked it higher, but it's kind of like a one-watch movie. There are others that are rewatchable. So that's why I have it on my number 5.
Oh, yeah. If I'm not mistaken, that movie is kind of like the first movie that really made everybody open their eyes to Tom Cruise's acting ability. Like, he was kind of the new guy on the block. He did a few things like The Outsiders and Risky Business, and then I think, you know, this movie was the one where they were like, dude, this guy can act. So, yeah, that's a really good one. Now, along that same vein, my number 5 is Rain Man. Now, Rain Man is a movie that I saw way late in life. I think I was in my 20s the first time I saw that movie. I always heard about it, always heard the name, always heard about the card tricks and him, the blackjack jokes and everything. I think I saw Hangover before I saw Rain Man, so they always reference it in a lot of movies. But Rain Man is just an incredible story. It's Tom Cruise. He finds out he's got an autistic brother he never knew about, and you got Dustin Hoffman in what I think is his career-defining performance, and he won an Oscar for it. And the movie won 4 Oscars. And it's just a really great story. It's about, it seems like he's taking Rain Man on the ride of his life, and he's kind of teaching him along the way, when all the while it's Rain Man teaching Tom Cruise and trying to get him out of his, kind of snooty lifestyle and stuck-up lifestyle. And just, there's a lot of great comedy, a lot of great, really emotional moments. I think that's one of Tom Cruise's best acted performances as well. On top of, Born of the 4th of July, like you were mentioning, just a really great feel-good movie that just nails every beat for me. So I absolutely love that one. That's my number 5.
Nice.
Yes. So number 4, what you got?
My number 4 is, I'm going to let you take a guess on this one. I feel the need for speed. Top Gun.
Let me see. Is that one Jack Reacher Never Back Down? No, Top Gun.
Top Gun. Got the steel book behind me. Top Gun. I just watched this movie today. I rewatched it finally. I can't believe this movie's over 30 years old. It's a classic to me. I've watched this movie so many times when I was younger, and it made me fall in love with Tom Cruise. This was the movie that put him on the money as a movie star. I love it. The characters are great. Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer in the movie. And also, you got some really underrated performances by Tom Skerritt from Alien. He's really great in that film. And I forgot who played the love interest in that. Was it Meg Ryan?
No. Oh, God. Now that you asked me, I'm not going to think of it. Kelly McGillis. Kelly
McGillis. Yes, she was really good in the movie, too. Top Gun. Yeah, it's cheesy. It came out in the 80s. I just love this movie. And all the songs in the movie, the soundtrack's fantastic. The plane sequences are fun, and I just love this movie. Tony Scott's direction's great. I can rewatch Top Gun all day long. It's a classic.
Oh yeah, big fan of Top Gun. That was one of the first 3D Blu-rays that I bought. I was like, they got a 3D Blu-ray of Top Gun. I'm all over that. Yeah. So that's not only a career-defining movie by Tom Cruise, because that's many people's favorite Tom Cruise movie, but that's also kind of an era-defining movie. Like, it just kind of screams the 80s. And whenever people start naming off, like, what's some of your favorite 80s movies, I'd say probably 3/4 of the world would put Top Gun in at least their top 10. So yeah, for every reason that you said, you pretty much nailed every single high point, especially the soundtrack. The soundtrack is almost as iconic as everything else in the movie. You hear a song from that movie, and you don't think of the song, you think of the scene from Top Gun that you heard it from. So, awesome number 4. Well, my number 4, I had to put one of these movies on my list, and this one is my favorite, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. A lot of people would say Rogue Nation is the best one. I actually think Ghost Protocol was just a little bit better. To me, I enjoy every single one of the Mission Impossible movies, even the second one, which a lot of people give hate to, but the fourth one to me was where they nailed everything. Tom Cruise was awesome. Huge stunts, especially that giant glass building that he had to scale, which he actually did.
Burj Khalifa, that was intense.
The dude's just a madman. I love the team aspect that really nailed in this one, because it's not so much about Tom Cruise, it's about Tom Cruise and his team. I love, what the hell's his name?
Jeremy Renner? Simon Pegg?
No, Simon Pegg. Okay, there you go. So I love Simon Pegg in that movie. To me, that was like, he's really funny in Rogue Nation too, but a lot of his comedy in Ghost Protocol just cracks me up. Like whenever he's running around, he's switching all the numbers out, all the while Tom Cruise is about ready to fall off of that building, and he's like, oh man, that was bad, that was tough. So all of that, all the action sequences, I love the sequence in the hallway whenever they have like that little screen up to make it look like they're not in the hallway, and the camera changes depending on the guy who's looking at its perspective. Just a lot of really cool technology in that movie. So Ghost Protocol is my favorite Mission Impossible movie. Obviously, being we're talking about Tom Cruise, you have to give one Mission Impossible movie at least. That's his biggest franchise by far, and that one's my favorite one, so that's my number 4.
Yeah, Cody, I totally agree. Ghost Protocol is the best Mission Impossible movie, but I have it a little higher on the list.
Looking forward to seeing where it's at. What's your number 3?
All right, my number 3 was actually, I was surprised this was in your honorable mentions. I have Edge of Tomorrow at my number 3 spot. Yeah,
nice.
Everything you said earlier, the marketing for this movie was awful. I mean, they changed the title to Live, Die, Repeat. The trailers were awful, like you said, but this movie came out of nowhere. I didn't see this movie in theaters because I didn't like the trailers, but I saw it on Blu-ray, and I love this movie. Yeah, it's Groundhog Day mixed with something else. It's just Groundhog Day in the 21st century. But yeah, I love this movie. Tom Cruise is fantastic, but the star is Emily Blunt in the supporting role. She was great in this movie. Bill Paxton also shows up in the movie. He's great. And just the action in this movie is great. And the story, too, how you have to live the same day over and over again when you die. It's just funny seeing Tom Cruise's character go through the same day over and over again. Like, on your feet, maggot! I was just laughing so hard. Yeah. It had some really cool action scenes, and the ending kind of went CGI heavy, but it's fine. It's an epic battle. So, overall, Edge of Tomorrow completely surprised me. It's at my number 3.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of that movie. I think I probably need to rewatch it again. If I rewatched it recently, it might have been a little bit higher. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah, just everything that you said is just it's an awesome movie. And yeah, Bill Paxton is hilarious in that. And I'm not really a big fan of a lot of the Groundhog Day style ripoff movies, but that one I think is probably the best since the Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Because it's action heavy, but it's also really comedic. Like whenever he's trying to roll out of the group and he gets run over by the truck, and Bill Paxton's like, "What in the hell were you trying to do?" So
that was funny.
That's an absolute classic. I think that as the time goes on, as long as they don't screw it up in the sequel, I think Edge of Tomorrow will be revealed as a big highlight in his career.
Yes, I agree.
Awesome. Well, my number 3 is a movie that came out of absolutely nowhere for me because I did not see it in theaters. I knew about it, but for whatever reason, I didn't get a chance to see it. When I finally saw it, it blew me away, and that's Collateral. I love the hell out of Collateral, mostly because Tom Cruise is an awesome bad guy, and he doesn't get to play a bad guy very often. He's always the hero. He's always the good guy. But when he's dark, he kills it. And, I'm not a big Jamie Foxx fan, but I really like him in this movie. And I think this is one of his first movies. I think this was before Ray, so this is before he kind of blew up. But you got Michael Mann, the director of Heat, and basically just tells the story, if you guys aren't familiar with it, where Jamie Foxx is a cab driver, and Tom Cruise is an assassin. He's got 5 targets, and he basically, unknowing to Jamie Foxx, hires him to drive him around to all of his targets for the night. And it's just a wild cat and mouse game. And Tom Cruise is the reason why this movie is so awesome, because he just kills it as Vincent. Such a strange look. He's got frosted white hair, but he's dressed in a suit. He's got some of the most badass kills. Like, he just triple taps people in half a second. I mean, the dude just is wicked. I love the LA landscape and the way that the cinematography and everything is. Like, it has a very similar camera style to Heat, which is one of my favorite movies. So everything about Collateral is great. I want to see Tom Cruise do more bad guys, and it's because of Collateral. But I don't know if he's ever going to top Collateral. So that's one of my favorite movies of his by far. So that's my number 3.
Speaking of Collateral, Cody, that's my number 2.
Oh, hey, look at that. It's like we planned this.
Yeah, you basically said everything I was going to say. Collateral is so good. It's so action-packed. Tom Cruise kills it as Vincent. Jamie Foxx as the taxi driver is really great. I just love all these scenes. John Wick earlier this year reminded me a lot of Collateral. I think gained a lot of inspiration from that. Yeah. I agree with you. Tom Cruise should take a lot more villain roles in this because he absolutely crushes this role. I mean, I'm telling you, the action sequences in this movie are so riveting. The score is fantastic. The direction by Michael Mann is flawless. And I would love to see a Collateral 2, but I don't think that's going to happen. But overall, Collateral, it's a really great action movie.
Yes, and it's got a really great ending, too. So even if we don't get a sequel, I think it caps everything off perfectly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, my number 2 is a movie that you previously mentioned, and that's Risky Business. I have always loved Risky Business. That's one of the That's one of the first Tom Cruise movies that was kind of introduced to me, which sounds strange because of the subject matter of the movie, but I've always liked it ever since I was, maybe 9 or 10 years old. I'll say that. Maybe I think I was younger when I saw it. But Risky Business basically tells a story. It's like a coming-of-age 80s comedy with a lot of drama thrown in. You got Tom Cruise, who's kind of like the really responsible kid. He does everything his parents want. He goes to school every single day. He doesn't do anything wrong. His parents leave for the weekend, and he steals his dad's Porsche. He buys a hooker. Just does all this crazy stuff just to finally experience the wild side of life, and his life just spirals way out of control because of this call girl that he kind of gets infatuated with, played by Rebecca De Mornay. And it's just a great movie. There's some great comedy. The dynamic back and forth between Tom Cruise and Rebecca De Mornay is really great because you never quite know until the end of the movie, really, whether or not she's honestly, falling for him, or if it's just kind of like a mutual attraction, or if she's just kind of hanging around because of the fun. It's not like this romantic comedy where they suddenly fall in love with each other and they run away, dancing through the tulips. It's nothing like that. It's a very kind of gritty kind of version of that movie. I love the soundtrack, like you were joking about earlier, the Bob Seger song. That scene is iconic when he slides in. I love Joe Pantoliano, one of the best character actors out there. I love his character. He's basically like the pimp, and he starts coming after him in the end, and he basically turns his house into a brothel. So I'm giving you all these little tiny details if you've never seen Risky Business, but you still haven't heard most of the movie. So it's just an absolute classic to me. It's one of Tom Cruise's best movies. It's one of his best roles, and that's a movie that I just constantly revisit. So that's my number 2.
Nice.
All right. Moment of truth. Number 1.
Dun, 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 dun. Is it really no surprise? It's Mission Impossible. I mean, I kind of cheated a little bit. I put the entire franchise because he plays the same character in that whole entire franchise, but Ghost Protocol would be my choice of his best Mission Impossible movie because that movie, as you said, Cody, it's fantastic. Brad Bird came in after directing The Incredibles, Iron Giant, Ratatouille, all these great animated films. But I was surprised to see he could direct a great action movie. And Tom Cruise, Paula Patton, Jeremy Renner, and Simon Pegg, such a great supporting cast in the film. They crushed it. I mean, the Burj Khalifa scene, it's one of the best action set pieces ever put to film. It's white knuckle from start to finish. I love Ghost Protocol. I also really love Rogue Nation 2. That's a close second, but Ghost Protocol overall was a better film. So that would be my choice as to my favorite Mission Impossible movie. But I know a lot of people hate on the second movie. It's not that bad. The first and third one are okay, but it's really 4 and 5 are the best. So my favorite's Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I like the entire franchise, and it's one of the few franchises where not only does it seem to get better as time goes on, some people would argue that the second one kind of trumps that, but I really like the second one. But to me, every single movie kind of has its own flavor. It doesn't feel like, Mission Impossible 4 doesn't feel like 1. Mission Impossible 5 doesn't feel like 3. They all have their own identity, their own style, their own camera styles, their own story directions. And it's amazing that they've been able to keep that franchise going as long as they have, and it's still got a ton of steam in it. Like, people are clamoring for number 6. So yeah, that's probably a lot of people's number 1 at any of those movies. So yeah, that's a good pick for number 1. Well, my number 1 is another movie that you mentioned in your honorable mentions, which has always been a favorite of mine, and that's Minority Report. Now, this movie, I had no idea what it was. I don't remember seeing the trailers for it. I don't remember knowing anything about it. I didn't know that Steven Spielberg directed it. The story of me seeing this movie is that me and my dad went to Media Play, if anybody even remembers what the hell that store is. We went in there, oh hey, there's a new Tom Cruise movie, let's check it out. Bought it, watched it, loved it. I love everything about it. I love the whole really unique and creative aspect about, I'm a sucker for time travel, so there's a little bit of time travel in this as far as being able to predict the future. And it's asked the question, if you have a system in place where you can predict crime, do those people cease to be criminals if you stop them, or are they still guilty? Like, I love that whole question that the movie asks, and it's a very morally challenging question, because you think about that. If they had the intent, but I stopped them, are they still really going to do it? So I love that whole thing. That's just kind of like the underlying theme of the movie.
Oh, yes.
Action set pieces, phenomenal. Special effects, the futuristic aspects of it, phenomenal. It's one of the very first times you'll see Colin Farrell. It's kind of like the year that he blew up when he was in like everything, and that's one of his best roles to me. I love the antagonistic relationship between him and Tom Cruise, and it's really hard to have somebody go against Tom Cruise and you still like them and root for them to a degree, because usually you always root for Tom Cruise and anybody else can just suck it. But you know, Colin Farrell is actually a really cool character in that movie. I love how everything unfolds, especially in the scene whenever they try to trick Tom Cruise into thinking, you know, giving him the reason why. Because basically the story of the movie is he works for this place that is called pre-crime, where they predict the future, they stop people who are going to commit crimes, and all of a sudden he goes into work one day and his name pops up on the board. He's going to murder somebody in a couple days, and he's on the run trying to figure out why and trying to convince everybody he's not going to do it. So when you get to the scene, when he figures out why he would kill this person, it's really emotional, because you've already known the underlying story of the character, and suddenly the entire movie you're rooting for him. You're like, dude, he's going to get there, he's not going to do it, he's going to realize that something's going on or somebody's setting him up, and then he gets there and you're like, oh no, you got to kill that guy. You just go ahead and do it, just pull the trigger. So I love it, everything about that. I love the mystery, I love the intrigue, and just to me it's damn near a flawless film, and it's one of those movies that's so unique and has so much going for it because of Tom Cruise and because of Steven Spielberg that I always rewatch it. That's a movie that I'll pop in at least once a year, especially if somebody says I've never seen Minority Report. I'm like, well, you're about to, because I'm putting it in. So I absolutely love it. That one is my number one.
Yeah, good number one. A lot of people don't give Minority Report the respect that it deserves. I agree. It's underrated.
Yeah, it's really underrated. I don't hear it mentioned very often. And I tend to put my number ones to be movies that don't get mentioned very often, because I almost feel like it's a little bit like it's kind of special to me. Like I get to choose Minority Report as number one because most people don't. And it's funny. But yeah, that's our number five. That's our top fives, people. So Ryan, tell us one more time where we can find your channel and what we can find on that channel.
Alright, well, thank you so much, Cody, for having me on your channel, doing this ranking, man. If you guys want to find my channel, you can just find Ryan O'Toole on YouTube. My YouTube channel will pop up. I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, Blu-ray updates, just like Cody does on his channel. And if you guys want to find me on my Twitter page, just type in Ryan O'Toole MR. And I also have a Facebook page, Ryan O'Toole Movies. Come talk to me. I love talking movies with you guys. Cody, once again, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you.
Yeah, that's been a pleasure, man. I'm glad we can get to do a collab now. And speaking of collabs, once The Mummy hits this weekend, you can look for both of our spoiler-free reviews on our respective channel, but we're also going to be doing a spoiler-filled discussion on Ryan's channel sometime this weekend. So keep an eye out for that. Go over there, give him a like and a subscribe. If this is your first time on this channel, give me a like and a subscribe, please, especially since this video is so enjoyable. And go ahead, and if you want to check out some of my other social media links like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or my Patreon page, I'll have all that down below. And if you guys want to check out some more videos, you can check out a few more by clicking right over here.